We could have a potential Fight of the Year candidate on Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Showtime. We have Britton Hardin, of course, back, and of course Robert Ecksel, the editor-in-chief of Boxing.com. You got to have some sort of title that I could intro you.
Oh, man.
You think about it. Okay, so the number 2 and number 3 junior welterweights, guys, will probably end up fighting Danny Garcia. Surprisingly, this fight is for no belts, which is a little baffling. Before we get to what seems like the crooked alphabet sanctioning bodies, you could say. Let me just get your take on this. The fight against Kendall Holt, let's start with Lamont Peterson, the once homeless man on the streets of Washington, D.C., now is fighting Lucas Matthysse, 33 wins, 31 of those by knockout. Seems astounding. Let's start with you, Robert. What do you make of the fight, and what do you think Peterson has to do to try and frustrate Matthysse?
Well, to frustrate Matthysse, he's going to have to try to avoid Matthyisse's punches. Matthysse, as you know, is the sort of the greatest knockout artist in the game today. And he comes with power, he comes with a desire to win, he doesn't look for the knockout, but he gets the knockout, he breaks his opponents down. So it's going to be Peterson's job to sort of dissuade Matthysse from landing those punches and avoiding those punches if and when he can.
Britton, we were talking a little bit before we went on about the Kendall Holt fight, the one on Friday Night Fights. ESPN's so lucky to grab those two. And it took him a good 3.5 rounds, I'd say, to turn it on. And when he did, he obliterated Kendall Holt. He crushed him. Does he have to? Will you think that it'll take him that long to try and get into the groove of getting to Matthysse?
I think if he's going to win this fight, he's going to have to box very smart. To frustrate Matthysse, I think he's going to have to start sooner than he did against Kendall Holt. He doesn't have the luxury of someone who's going to tire down the stretch like Kendall Holt did and fold under that pressure. Matthysse is a fighter who seems to get stronger as the fight goes on. So he's going to have to start from round 1. Everything's going to have to come behind the jab, and he's going to have to keep moving. Matthysse does come with power, but his feet have to be planted for him to land those power punches. They both have the ability to box, but I think that the favor of the fight is in Lamont Peterson's corner if he can continue to box and not fight flat.
Are you saying because of his trainer, Billy Hunter? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he has an excellent trainer. His trainer is awesome, and his trainer is going to be, obviously giving him pointers throughout the fight. But I think the best advice, he knows basically the fight that he has to fight. He can't stand in there and slug with Lucas Matthysse, because if Lucas Matthysse has an opportunity to plant those feet and land those hooks, then it could be a short night.
Isn't that what Peterson does, though? I mean, like, Robert, let me turn to you. Isn't that what he does? He's a slugger. He goes in there and he's a brawler. Both of them are brawlers, as a matter of fact.
I think Peterson is more multifaceted than people give him credit for. He has shown the sort of desire to slug in his last couple of fights, but he's an excellent boxer, and people forget that. He really, look at his KOs. I mean, there aren't that many of them. He's really not a knockout artist per se. He is a boxer. He's changed his style somewhat in his last few fights, but I think he can change his style again. Again, Peterson is a very well-schooled fighter, and we shouldn't sell him short.
Peterson has 31 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 16 of those were via knockout. So as you said, it doesn't happen a ton, but when it does, it's pretty thrilling. He couldn't put away Amir Khan. Do you think that may be a criticism of Lamont Peterson?
No, because at that point in time, Amir Khan, he although he took some good shots, Amir Khan wasn't the fragile fighter that he is today. I look at a fighter's chin almost like fiberglass. Like it's tough. It seems like you can just throw anything up against it. You can bang on it as many times, but once it's cracked, that's when it's cracked. Mm-hmm. So that knockout against Danny Garcia definitely, did put a dent in his chin, and I think that he's obviously fighting a smarter, more defensive style, or at least trying to. But he wasn't the damaged fighter that he was today then.
What does Matthysse have to do, Robert? What do you think? We've been talking about Lamont Peterson for so long, it seems like. What do you think Matthysse has to do?
He has to pin Peterson against the ropes. He has to sort of get through his defense. He has to trap him in the corner if he can do it. and he has to deliver punches. I mean, his punches are strong, but they're not always straight. They're not always perfect. And boxing is a game of angles. Boxing is a game of inches. And Peterson really knows boxing. And I think that if he is smart, he's going to avoid a lot of Matthysse's punches. He's going to get hit. He knows he's going to get hit. This is boxing, and it's the name of the game. But the name of the game is also to hit and not be hit. So he's simply going to have to really outsmart Matthysse, and it won't be easy. Matthysse is really a brilliant fighter. I think this is an opportunity for Peterson to show that he's the more brilliant of the two fighters.
Matthysse, of course, the Argentine, his last fight against Mike Dallas Jr., who was a highly touted boxer, it seemed, an up-and-comer, similarly to Mike Jones. He got knocked out in the first round, as a matter of fact, by Matthysse. So let me just get your picks really quickly, and then we'll talk about the sanctioning bodies. Let's start with you, Britton. What do you think?
Man, this is a very interesting fight. I think that what we're going to see is Lamont Peterson boxing early. I think that he's going to get drawn into a slugfest because, you know, like Robert spoke on a little bit earlier, he is a brilliant boxer, but I think in his last 4 or 5 fights, he's grown confidence in his ability to, you know, kind of stand in there and scrap. And he's even gone on record in saying, I'm a boxer who will fight if I have to. And I think that, you know, Matthysse is going to walk through a lot of those early punches, and it's going to become a slugfest for the duration of the middle rounds, maybe 8 through 10. And then he's going to have to, Barry Hunter is going to have to get in his head and let him know you're going to have to stay behind this jab to pull this fight out. So I think that it's going to be a thrilling fight, but I have Lamont Peterson winning on smart boxing.
So you think it goes to the scorecards?
I think it goes to the scorecards.
Okay, interesting. For a fight of the year candidate, like a Rios Alvarado is what we're thinking.
I definitely think we're going to see a couple of knockdowns. I definitely can see both men touching the canvas. I can definitely see that.
Well, we certainly hope so. Yeah. Robert, what do you think?
I have to agree. I mean, I've thought about this sort of long and hard. Now, how is this fight going to transpire? I agree with Britt's analysis completely, and I also agree that it is going to go to the scorecards. And I do think Peterson's going to walk away with the victory, but it's not going to be without him getting sort of battered and bruised during the course of the fight.
My personal feeling is that I think Lucas Matthysse is actually going to take this fight. It seems like he is just, you know, this is from an American media perspective that we're reading. When we look at Sports Illustrated, boxing.com, when we look at all these different websites, you're going to see that, you know what, everybody's talking about Peterson. So the fact that he's not even getting talked about makes me think, why is everyone overlooking him? Well, you nod your head in agreement.
I do agree with you, and I agree with you because Lucas Matthysse always seems like, although that you have to be aware of his power, he can be outboxed. He was outboxed by Zab Judah. He was
controversial loss against Alexander.
Controversial loss against Alexander, which he was outboxed to lose that en route to losing that fight. So the theory is if you can outbox him and withstand his power, you can win the fight.
But is this a boxer or a brawler that we're going to see in Peterson?
Peterson, and it depends on which Peterson shows up, but Peterson knows going into this fight that he has to fight smart. So knowing that, I put it to you like this, Peterson has more tools. Peterson on paper should win the fight because he's a boxer and he can brawl with you. Lucas Matthysse can box as well, but he's the shorter fighter. He has the shorter reach, you know. So
3 inches, yeah.
Right. So Lucas Matthysse is disadvantaged on paper if Lamont Peterson does what he's supposed to do. What we know about Lamont Peterson is that he can be drawn into a slugfest, and I think that is Lucas Mathisse's game plan. Withstand the boxing early, and then slug him out and beat him down and knock him out.
I totally hear you, and I totally understand that. But when you take, at the height advantage, fine, I'll give you that. But the reach advantage, there isn't going to be a reach advantage because Peterson likes to get inside. He likes to fight inside. With the Khan fight, with the Kendall Holt fight, he landed his bombs not with his long jab, but when he measured him up and then went in and attacked the body and then went to the head with Kendall Holt.
But that's a fighter. That's a different fight because he knows that he can beat Kendall Holt down. Kendall Holt's a little bit older, and there were questions on his, I guess you would call it fortitude, when he starts to take this punishment, how much is he really gonna want to take? And you saw when Kendall Holt started to get hurt, he went down, he grabbed, he just stood up against the ropes. Lucas Matthysse isn't gonna do that. And I think that when Lamont Peterson realizes that he can't bully this fighter, he's going to stick to what he knows best, and that's boxing.
We have vented over these sanctioning bodies, it seems like, for decades, yet we've only known each other for 2 years. At least the talks that we've had seem like they have been in great detail. It's a little interesting that this fight is not up for a title when Lucas Matthysse has the WBC title, Lamont Peterson has the IBF title. It's 1 pound over the limit at which they have their titles, I suppose, and now it just isn't for anything, really. And it seems like either way, the winner is probably going to get Danny Garcia. Matthysse didn't want to put up his interim WBC title. Fine, whatever. What do you make of all this? Is it just shenanigans?
No, it's shenanigans as usual. I mean, the scuttlebutt is that the IBF doesn't recognize interim titles. Therefore, Matthisse's title is not legitimate in their eyes. But of course, legitimacy is in the eyes of the beholder. It's sort of business as usual. I mean, they don't have to pay sanctioning fees. It diminishes this fight somewhat in the eyes of the average sports fan, but in the eyes of the cognoscenti, I mean, the fight fans, the fight fanatics, I mean, this is really an exciting match. And titles come, titles go. As we know, there are a proliferation of titles, some of which are quote-unquote legitimate, others of which are quote-unquote illegitimate. And it really doesn't matter. This is the kind of fight that they could be fighting for scraps at the table, and it would still be a thrilling contest.
Anyone who knows boxing knows that this is going to be an amazing fight. You got two fighters with the capability to box, but who love to engage, and that's what we love to see. You got two fighters who lay it all out on the line every time they go out there. You got two fighters who can take a punch and love to give one. You know, they both have excellent backstories, and that's what boxing is all about. It's not about the titles. The titles are more so bargaining tools these days anyway. They give them to this person, or, you know, you see fights being given to a fighter just because he's on the up and come. Mm-hmm. So it's like the titles mean nothing. And at the end of the day, what should happen is the winner of this fight, there really should be no loser in this fight. Because the way I see it going down, they're just going to give it their all, and you're going to want to see either fighter fight for the title against Danny Garcia, and either fighter can give Danny Garcia a run for his money.
So in your opinion, it's just a consolation prize that a title will be up for grabs?
Yeah, I mean, it's to no negative or positive that a title isn't up for grabs, because the winner's going to get Danny Garcia, and the loser is going to, you know, probably, you know, knock out his next opponent and get the winner again. So I would love to see either one of these guys fight Danny Garcia for the title.
So you guys, really quickly, and then we'll let you go. You guys think that Lamont Peterson is probably going to fight Danny Garcia. What do you guys make of that fight? I'll start with you, Robert. What do you think about Lamont Peterson's chances against Danny and Angel Garcia? You got to throw him in there as well.
I think Peterson's chances are excellent. I think Peterson's chances are excellent against anybody. I mean, he is a superb boxer. He's gotten a lot of rap because of his the business with the testosterone pellets, but he is a superb boxer. His backstory, as Britton says, I mean, exemplary. I mean, it really is indicative of the redemptive quality of boxing. And we forget that. I mean, we just think that these guys are just, you know, athletes, but they're more than athletes. I mean, they were able to sort of carve a way through the world, and a hostile world at that, with their fists. And Peterson exemplifies that. I give him a chance against Garcia, but I give him a chance against anybody, including Matthysse.
Britton, your follow-up. What do you think, Garcia? And you guys think that Peterson's going to win. You also said Peterson. Do you like his chances as well?
Yeah, Peterson has more tools at the end of the day. I think he has more tools, and I think he should win this fight. Against Danny Garcia, he definitely has a chance. I think that Danny Garcia showed us that he can be hurt, and that he has conditioning issues like in the middle rounds of his fights. He can always pull it out, but I think the middle rounds of his fights, he knows that he has to pace himself for the last 10, 11, 12 rounds. And I think that Lamont Peterson is a fighter who isn't going to give him any rest. Yeah. If Lamont Peterson sees him hurt, he's going to stay in his chest, and he's going to throw those bombs to the body, those overhand rights and those hooks like he did against Amir Khan. And it will be interesting to see how Danny Garcia responds to that kind of pressure. I don't think anyone's put that kind of pressure on Danny Garcia because you're used to seeing Danny Garcia applying the pressure. And so I think that is a really good fight. But you know, in the instance that Lucas Matthysse pulls this one out, which you know me and Robert haven't taken off the table, I don't think Danny Garcia wants to fight Lucas Matthysse. I think that's a fight that he doesn't want. He went on record in saying after his victory over Zab Judah that he thinks that Lamont Peterson is going to win this fight. And I think that that's what he would prefer because I think that's the opponent who he feels he better matches up with.
I personally think that when you put Garcia and Lamont Peterson in the same ring, they look like they have somewhat similar styles. They like to fight on the inside. They like to throw big, powerful looping hooks. I mean, even when Garcia fought Khan, that's what he landed. He landed those big, huge, winding hooks, and Peterson likes to do that as well.
Danny Garcia doesn't like to fight on the inside. He doesn't like to fight on the inside.
But he had so much success against Amir Khan.
He likes to stand close enough to you where he can roll your punches and land his power punches because that's where his power lies. He will stand close enough to you to make you throw a punch, and he's quick enough to get out of the way, roll with it, and throw his hooks. Or he'll roll it and come back with the straight right hand. But he doesn't like to fight on the inside. Fighting on the inside is when, excuse me, you're body to body, you're blocking punches, and you're responding with your opponent's punches. So I think that if a fight on the inside, Danny Garcia against Lucas Matthysse or Lamont Peterson, I think he loses that easily. He's smaller than both of those guys. Body-wise, he's thinner.
No, I agree.
So he couldn't. I don't think he could withstand those body punches from either man. But what he does like to do, like I said, is just stand close enough to get out of the way of those looping punches and throw his, like he did against like he did against Amir Khan and Eric Morales.
And he didn't even look that good against Zab Judah. We were thinking that was going to be up. Zab's checking out. 4 rounds, he's done. And then he came back and rallied and nearly won the fight.
Absolutely.
Robert Ecksel, the editor-in-chief of boxing.com. You guys can follow him on Twitter as well, at boxing_com. And you could also follow this guy, Britton Hardin, at CoolAsBritton. Should probably change that. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thanks, guys, for coming on. See you soon.